You just never know what's really going on lots of times. And lots of times when you think you know what's going on and what you can do to help, doesn't turn out all that well. Probably the finest thing I did as Superintendent Hartner was to set up plan and action when staff came to me and said, there's a boy here, smart kid, good boy, fine young man. He's not doing well in school, and we've been looking into it, and he really can't read very well. Well, nobody could have been more surprised than me. That boy was Lloyd King. And Lloyd King is about as handsome a boy as you'll ever see, and about as mature a boy as you'll ever see as a freshman and sophomore back that you'd see in those days. I got to admit, there's kids come into freshman classes where I'm subbing out there in Yuma that they look like they could be college football players. And a lot of those big kids aren't even out for football. Go figure. In a small school, the coach would think he died and gone to heaven to have such big kids available for his teams. Well, you know, when teachers are telling you that here's a boy that's intelligent, but he's having trouble because he can't really read, you think, well, gee whiz, we can do something about that. So I called Lloyd in, and we had a little talk. And he said, well, yes, Mr. Riggs, it's true. I've always had trouble reading. Well, I said, you know, would you be willing, if I could get one of the elementary teachers to work with you, would you be willing to go back and try to learn to read now? And he was very thoughtful about it, but said yes, he'd be willing to try. So I didn't want to embarrass him by having him go to the first grade teacher. The teacher had the first and second grade, so I arranged, talked to Mrs. Dillon, who taught the third and fourth grades. Doris Dillon was a nice lady, and she said, well, she'd be willing to put in about 30 minutes after her kids left and work with the young man and see what she could do. So it was all set up, and I knew that Lloyd was going down, Coach Lamb excused him from basketball practice, going down spending 30 minutes working on learning to read. Didn't go down and look in on it. No reason to think that it wouldn't go well. He wanted to learn, and Mrs. Dillon wanted to help him learn. So naive me, I thought, hey, we're gonna really help this boy. But you know, I don't know if it was 2, 3, or 4 weeks, but it wasn't very long. And Mrs. Dillon came down and said, you know, I've done my best, and I think that boy's done his best. But we're really not making any progress. And he knows it, that he wants to quit, but he's too nice to tell me. Well, Mrs. Dillon let me talk with him. So I find the opportunity, and Lloyd, let's talk about this. And he said nice things about Mrs. Dillon, but you could tell his body English was telling you from the very minute we started to talk, it's not working. And in the surprise, he told me, you know, I have had other people help me, and I just can't seem to learn to read. And folks, you may think that's strange, that we didn't have some other alternatives. But I didn't know what to do. Mrs. Dillon didn't know what to do. The high school teachers didn't know what to do. It's way before all this individualized instruction and so on. So anyway, Lloyd and I agreed that it'd be well then to go ahead and end it. And he knew I was disappointed. Well, you know, as another 2 or 3 weeks went by, and Mr. King made an appointment and came in. And he was a working man. I don't know just how he arranged his schedule to do that, because he came in at the end of a school day after the kids had left, and came in, and I'd never met him before. Another nice-looking man. You could see where some of the good looks that Lloyd has came from. Very courteous, very polite. And he said, Mr. Riggs, I just want to thank you. And he said, Lloyd told me how disappointed you are. And you mustn't feel bad. And you mustn't let Mrs. Dillon feel bad. He said, teachers and principals have always liked Lloyd. And a number of times people have tried to help him, give him special help. And it just doesn't work. And he said, you may wonder then why, if it doesn't work, why did I let you guys try again? He said, that's because we appreciate the effort, and you never know, maybe something could work. So that was the end of it. Great intentions, no success. Yet, one way or the other, Lloyd stayed eligible. I don't know. He might have missed a game sometime, but I don't think so. He stayed eligible, and I think graduated from the school eventually. You know, he was there. I was there when he was a freshman and sophomore. I never went back to confirm this, but rumors reached me that post-graduation, I don't know how long after graduation, the bright student helper, Margie Reed, became Mrs. Lloyd King. Don't know if that happened or not. As handsome as he was, I could well imagine it might have. I'd love to know. I'd love to know about how Lloyd's life went as an adult. If they did marry, I'd like to know a lot about them. Two of my very, very favorite people in Ardner, Kansas.